Okay. Hello, hello. Um, so I've been trying to do this space since episode 207 aired. Um, Nobody's in here right now, so I don't know if anybody else will join me, but I really wanted to discuss this episode tonight. I've been wanting to discuss this episode. I think I've watched it like 10 times already. Um, and I named it Lakeisha Savage, It's Time to Kill This Motherfucker. And I put that in quotations because that was my tweet that has not slowed down with the retweets and the likes. And I've really gotten a great response to that. So I figured this would be a great title for my spaces tonight. I just want to say that for me, P Valley has to be one of the most amazing television shows right now. And it took me some time to catch on to the show. I've seen it on my timeline, but it took me a while. So, forgive me. Forgive me if I didn't hop on the train right away. And to be honest, I'm glad I didn't actually, because I like to binge watch instead of waiting a week. Like right now, I'm like fiending for episodes. Like it's hard to wait a week to get another episode. This last week from 206 to 207, it seemed like it took forever for us to get that episode. So binge watching was actually very, very good for me to do. I think I want to first off and say that one thing that I really appreciated about the writing, the storytelling, and the, what do I want to say? And the transition from season 1 to 2, which I believe, most fans know already, is that it took a couple of years. I like that they were able to capture the reality and the state of affairs in this country, which is COVID, and really taking a realistic look at things, especially in the Black community, because it is very different, in my opinion, of how healthcare, masking, vaccinations, the way that they're able to incorporate religion into the show, abortion, sexual relationships, friendships, hardships, everything. And, a lot, and stigma, the stigmas that is surrounded by stripping, they really hone in on that too. Like, you have to be a hoe. You must be a hoe if you're stripping, and that's not the case at all, which we've seen with Mercedes, her life, her background. They've done such a good job, the writers, with telling her whole story, and you really root for Mercedes. Like, she is one of my favorite characters on the show because I'm rooting for her. I understand her anger. And one thing I tweeted about this last episode was how our generational curses, they just keep going. The pattern keeps going. We continuously bring in new lives into this world, we can bring in those traumas that existed in our childhood. And it is very, very true in the Black community that we do this. Just like we say, racism is taught, things that we've gone through in our past, trauma, be it abuse, whether that is relationship, parental abuse, sexual abuse, mistreatment, all of that. We tend to bring that into our lives when we have kids. And the way that they presented that in this episode was elite. It was elite writing. It was elite storytelling. There were so many juxtapositions. The imagery that they had was, and I think Katori even said that they wrote this before the Roe v. Wade decision even came down. So it's the fact that they were able to encompass that reality because it was already happening. Like, those things were already occurring in the country. And we have to remember, this show is set in down south, like in down south. We're talking about red state. Like, I live in Texas, and shit, we are forever embarrassed. Okay, we stay embarrassed like every fucking day. Between Florida, Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, we have some of the most tragic laws that are still on the books. It's fucking embarrassing. So they did a really, really good job of that. The trauma with little murder, little homicide, little calculator. There is something to be said about the way J. Alphonse is able to convey so many emotions with each relationship that he has on the show. He has this friendship partnership with Wody, and it's funny because, like, Wody checked him in season 1. I think it was episode 7, before he was supposed to perform, when he saw him and Clifford coming out of the woods. And he checked him on, you like what you like, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like Wody, he listens to him because, for him, he wants to get out. He wants to get out. He wants to, and I can't wait to be honest, I can't wait to know more about his backstory. All that does for me is just want to know more about him. So he, what do I want to say? So Wody and his relationship is interesting to me because he really does listen. I don't even know the age difference. I mean, it seems like they're sort of the same age. Maybe Wody is a little bit more older, but I think it's something to be said about somebody who works with dead bodies all the time. I think they have a lot of wisdom as well. They know a little bit about life and death, I think. So Wody telling him, like, hey, you want to get this money, you got to keep that under wraps. And so we see that he listened to that, but at the same time, he did lose at the time someone who he developed very strong feelings for. And I feel like with Teak, I think there was a love there, like, clearly, because they had a bond, a strong bond, a bond from the neighborhood. And, like he said, two masculine men, and they were able to, pass. So they could go out on dates. They could hang out all day. Right? So they were able to do that without having any judgment. But for him, this is such a new kind of love for him. And I would say that this is his actual first time being in love with someone, um, you know, that this is his first real experience, I would think. So I think it's somewhat of a confusing situation for him. And it's a moment of self-discovery. I think they did a very good job on that too in this episode, that he's trying to understand more about who Cliff is. When him in episode was that Savage? Yeah, the episode that he killed himself. And they were sitting down at the table, and he was just like, she? And he was like, she, I don't know, that's what they want to call him, I just accept. And, there's such a confusion there. And when he has the opportunity to discuss it with Cliff, because he's starting to realize, like, wait, he was thinking that shirt that he saw on the bed was something that Cliff wore. And that wasn't the case at all. Like, no, this is trade. This was trade from Christmas past. He was like, wait a minute. You've been like this your whole life. And so then there's such an understanding that he's trying to come to. And I think their moment together, the intimate moment that they had, I think the stripping of everything except Clifford's nails, and because that's not going anywhere. But there's no makeup, there's no wig. Murder has on no jewelry. Like, both of them are completely stripped down. And I think it had such a level of acceptance of Clifford, right? Like, he understands that this is who Clifford is. And, I wish that there was people in here, because I would love to hear from a gay man who can explain or has more knowledge about the intimacy or the processing of thoughts when you are, a bottom, a top, a versatile, loving partner. Like, because it seemed to me like Murder changing positions was more of him trusting Clifford, A, and B, almost wanting to be healed from what he was going through with the Teak situation. So I would love to get, a gay man's perspective just on that. I'm a lesbian, and I know how our situations are. So that's why I'm just adding that. I know for us, it can, positions can be tied to emotions and how you feel about certain situations. So, moving on to Mercedes and Terica. I mean, the level of trauma that exists within the household of Patricia Woodbine and Mercedes, it is a sad reality that so many girls face today. It is really, really sad. And we have to stop that pretending as well. We have a real big habit of pretending that things that go bump in the night do not exist, because they do exist. And we need to start listening more to our children that are telling us things. And it may seem very outlandish, but we need to start opening up our ears more as well. It may be hard conversations, but these kids these days know so much more than you think they know. Like that birds and the bees talk, don't work. Don't work at all. No. Don't work at all. And the conversation in the car when she was like, yeah, next time plan B. And she was like, oh, now you want to talk. Like these kids, they know. Just like Terica and her friends was twerking and having that party and all. social media has just brought a whole new realm of cutting up, as I like to say. And that's not a blame on parents directly, you know what I'm saying? I mean, because at the end of the day, kids are going to find a way to do the things that they want to do. You can only be so strict. You can tell kids all day, do not touch that fucking oven. It's on fire. You're gonna burn your fingertips. You're gonna burn your fingertips. But if they want to touch that goddamn fire, they're going to touch it, they're going to burn, and they're going to think about it later and cry about it later. But you told them, you did your job, you know? But the issue with Mercedes is that she had the trauma with Patricia, and then having a baby so young, she is still trying to process all of her trauma while trying to establish a better life. And at the same time, Terica has trauma from her mother not being there. So it's like one of those things, you think you're doing what's best for your child, but your child at the same time is crying like, where the fuck is my mama? You know what I'm saying? That's where that communication really comes in. And it doesn't help that you trust a person to take care of your child and she's an alcoholic. There's so many bad energies. There's so many vices going on that's working against them, you know? So there was a lot of things in the episode that were much needed conversations. And I really, really do. But yeah, I really did appreciate that from the writers. Now, oh God, Loretta Devine has been on the stage, in the movies, TV, everything. But I have never, ever, ever, ever seen her play such a layered and just beautiful character. Like, you know, it's one of those things where I feel like she's my grandmother. You know, I feel like she's my grandmother. She's that grandmother that you tell everything to. You know, she knows Clifford's emotions. She knows what Clifford needs, you know? Like, she is that grandmother that has tried her best all her life. She's the grandmother that is full of joy, and all you want to do is just take care of her. You don't want to just put her in a home. You know what I'm saying? You want to take care of that grandmother. And the way that she has accepted Lamarcus, the way she has accepted him into the home, I really think it has a lot to do with she knows that Lamarta is the type of person that Clifford needs. Because honestly, I don't care how hard Lamarcus's exterior is, he is a true romantic. And he can cook. He gonna make sure your blood sugar is good. He gonna make sure your blood pressure right. He told Clifford, I did everything that was on that list, shorty. I did everything that was on that list. You know, that's why I want to know so much more about his life. I'm telling y'all right now, Stars better fucking renew this show, because I know Katori and the writers have so much more that they need to tell. And that is one I need to know more about. Derek needs to die. Okay? Derek needs to be killed. He needs to be buried. Okay? He needs to be gone. And we need to leave room for other stories. And Lakeisha, Haley, Cotton, whatever, that last scene gave me goosebumps, because that was not a happy fairy tale. That was not the books that your mama and your grandmother used to read to you. That was not, you know, Goldilocks and Three Bears and Little Red Riding Hood, but it's sweet and all that kind of stuff. That was some good ass writing. And again, yes, we be on there saying all the time, Keyshawn need to leave that MF, leave that MF, leave that MF. But as we can see, when you are codependent, which is like, I think at this point it's for the kids that she's, it's like she wants to escape for the kids, but at the same time, there's like this, thing of you don't want the kids to be harmed in the situation of you leaving, because we all know on the news, we see all the time these domestic abuse situations where it's a complete bloodbath of murder suicide. The ex-husband, the boyfriend kills the partner and the kids and themselves. You know what I'm saying? So I think she's thinking like a lot of women who are in abusive relationships. You are not only thinking about yourself, but you are thinking about the kids. You are thinking about this situation that can go all the way bad, So I like that Lakeith came in, Haley Cotton, Autumn Night, whatever. Okay. I like that she came in and was like, to be honest, y'all, I thought she was going to kill him at the door. Like, I thought when he said, who the hell are you, bitch? I thought I just thought it's over. That's what I thought. I thought she was going to kill it and that's it. I thought we was going to be done. Okay. But that was not the case. That was not the case at all. She came in, she gave a beautiful tale and gave her a phone. My only comment was, knowing Derek, I just know his motherfucking ass is going to ask her what is in the bag. And being that it's a small little Prada bag, honey, I'm hoping it's some kind of little trinket for baby Regal. A little bracelet that say Regal, a little pacifier. I'm hoping it's something. Because I don't need baby girl face to be mo beat up, okay? I'm hoping it's something. But I have a feeling next episode, because he was on his knees begging, child, on the next episode. I'm like, God damn, now we got begging. So I'm hoping by finale, she pick up that phone. I don't know what the outcome is going to be of how it's going to happen, but I know damn well this ain't just going to be some escape plan and they going to go off to another state. Ain't no way. Because we had a Pynk, she trying to sell it. I mean, ain't no way. That's not how the writers are fixing to do this. I just know they're not fixing to do some, I can help you get out. You got the money, go to another city, start a new life, get you some IDs. Nah. Ain't no way the writer's about to let this motherfucker live. Ain't no fucking way. Okay? So, I also wanted to bring up, because I noticed something. So episode 104 was the first time that Lil Murder and Clifford were intimate together. And then 204, him and Teak were together intimately. And I was like, are the writers trying to give a comparison of the two, because remember Lil Murder told Cliff, the song is for you. Fallen, I wrote it for you. And then remember Teak was telling Lil Murder how when he was in the hole, Lil Murder rhymes would get him through the dark place. He wrote rhymes and stuff like that. Now we don't know if the rhymes were specifically for him or not. But I just think that's just the parallels, like I said, the parallels and the juxtapositions within all these episodes are very telling. I always feel like these writers aren't just writing stuff just because, just like with the pink boa that Lil Murder had on at the end, Katori mentioned, that's what Grandmother Ernestine had on at the beginning of the show when she was performing. You know what I'm saying? And I do like the idea of Lil Murda going into the closet, but then coming out of the closet. And it's just a way that his heart is for Clifford. You know, that's why I say I feel like this is his first time truly like being in love with someone, you know, because in that moment, the sadness that he was feeling, I mean, his own trauma from the Teak situation, but then the sadness that he felt for Clifford in that moment, it's like all he wants to do is just make pain go away. For he's a very unselfish lover. He's a very unselfish lover, a very unselfish partner, which is something I'm noticing about him. In episode 107, when he took Clifford out, took her out to see the stars, which were the lights in her car. And it was because she said, "Where you gonna take me? You ain't gonna take me nowhere. Where you gonna take me?" And it was like in his brain, like, okay, I can't take her anywhere, but guess what? Let me create a date. Let me take her outside of the messiness. So it's the same thing. He always tries to recreate a situation that can bring a little joy. So I really do love that perspective. Andre, I didn't need him. I didn't need him in the episode, so I was so happy. The episode really deduced characters that I feel were not necessary. And I appreciated that, because then the episode would have seemed very clogged, and it just would have been all over the place. So I love how they really condensed the characters, and they were able to add so much meat to the story doing that. The baptism moment, and it's the fact that that was the lake where Teak, killed himself. It was almost a like ritualistic moment for Lil Murda to get that bit of water for her, and being the vessel, sort of like the vessel of healing, blessing, because that's what she was thirsting for, Grandmother Ernestine thirsting for, because she's clearly going to the other side, although selfishly, I do not want that for her. As someone who works in healthcare, as someone who has been going through this pandemic for the last almost 3 years, it has been hell. It has been tough as hell. I mean, it has been very, very tragic. Death and seeing heartbreak from families, seeing patients in the hospital not being able to see their family, dying in the hospital alone. That reality that I saw was very heartbreaking, seeing her say, "I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back," and I would like that to happen, but at the same time, that reality is very much there. I also appreciated that little nugget of the murder saying, "ma'am." It just really also put icing on the cake of his understanding more about Clifford, right? Even though I feel like even if he didn't know that backstory about Clifford was always Clifford, I feel like he still would have checked that paramedic, right? I still feel like he would have said, "ma'am," but it just made it, a lot more heartfelt because it was after, So those are just my thoughts. I hate nobody joined. I probably should. It's so random. I had a space for another topic 2 weeks ago, and it was lit. But that was more so planned. So I probably should have scheduled this one, and I didn't. But I'm recording it, and hopefully people will listen to it. And then I can actually schedule a space for 208 and stick to that. And then you guys will, you know, will come back and listen, and we can discuss, because I really do want to discuss the show further. And it's the fact that I asked, I'm like, is there a group chat? Because really, I mean, I cannot believe there's no P Valley group chat. I have yet to see one at all. Like, we really need to talk. I'm tired of waiting on the episode. We need to get this out. Either people need to do a bunch of spaces, or we need a mass P Valley group chat so we can all discuss, because it's a lot. And I would love to hear other people's thoughts about it. So, yeah, I just want to get my thoughts out. Feel free to tweet me, Koji Mama. Feel free to tweet me if you listen to this episode. Tweet me your thoughts, DM me your thoughts. I greatly appreciate it. Everyone have a wonderful, wonderful night. And Pink Posse will be, I'm sure, on their couch come 2:08 midnight on Saturday, Sunday. All right. Thank you, guys.